All right. I believe we are live. We are live. Welcome, everybody, to the Football for Fun weekly college football stream. I'm going to be giving you my Week 5 college football rankings and predictions. We got a huge slate ahead of us this weekend, one of the biggest slates of college football I can recall in a long time. We're talking Alabama at Georgia in Athens. We may or may not have a blackout for the Dogs there. That'll be awesome. And then, of course, you got Oregon at Penn State, James Franklin trying to finally win a big game against someone who's actually good. We aren't really counting his wins last year because, Boise State and SMU, with respect to those programs, they did not have the talent Penn State had, so going to be really interesting. We got a huge weekend ahead of us, but we'll get to the predictions later. For now, I want to start off today by checking out the AP poll because, once again, I've got some issues with it, and I put up the visual here. You can see the AP Top 25. I'm not a fan. I've got some issues, and I'll reveal my own rankings after this to compare. But we'll go down the list here. We've got Ohio State at 1. I can live with it. I've got them ranked pretty high, of course. They have that quality win at Texas. We'll get to them later. Obviously, a very talented team, one of the best in the nation. Could be considered the favorite at this point, one of the favorites at least. I don't have them at 1 because I don't think they have the resume that deserves to be 1 overall, but if you're one of those people who thinks that the defending national champion should be at 1 until they're beaten, so be it. That's your call. That's all right. I can get behind that. I don't have a big issue with that. Miami at 2. I'm glad the AP poll has finally caught up on that one. They had them at 4 last week, and that was too low. Last week they had the best resume in the nation. They still do. So I think it's funny that all it took for them to move up was a win against now 1-3 Florida. I think that's the AP poll kind of slightly self-correcting a little bit, but all right, glad that Miami's higher up. I like that. Penn State at 3, that's my first real issue. I don't know what Penn State has done to be ranked 3rd overall right now. They have no wins with respect to the teams they've played. I think Nevada, Florida International, and Villanova, I think. These are not teams that count as quality wins at all. The worst trio of wins that you can come up with, really. Again, sorry to those programs, but if you want to rank a team 3rd overall, you're not basing it on those wins. So this is more of a projection, I believe, and maybe some factoring in the talent that Penn State has, because yes, they are one of the most talented teams in the nation. I'm not going to argue that, and it could be true that at the end of the season they are ranked in the top 3, and they deserve it. If they beat Oregon this week, I can promise you they'll vault up my rankings, but as of right now, there's no real argument for them to be ranked 3rd overall. Not based on merit, not based on what they've done. If you want to base it on eye test, fine, but given who they've played, everyone would look good. So I got a problem with Penn State at 3. They don't deserve it. LSU at 4, I can kind of understand. I mean, they got a couple of nice wins that no longer look as good. They beat Clemson. Clemson is not that good, as we've come to learn. I'm not surprised, not really. I tried to warn people about Clemson all offseason. Oh, national champions? No. I don't understand where that hype came from. Got to be careful when you're listening to the so-called experts on ESPN. That still counts as a good win. I mean, that's a good team. They just keep losing, but you can only give them so much credit for that win, you know? So they got the win over Florida, who's also now 1-3. I mean, these wins just don't look as good. So personally, I'm going to drop them in my rankings because those wins are losing value as time goes on. But if you want to keep giving them credit for it, that's up to you. I don't take too much issue with it. I just disagree over it. Georgia at 5. I think we should be a little higher because I think the win against Tennessee is the single best win anyone has right now. We'll get to that later in my rankings. Oregon at 6, that's fine. Oklahoma at 7. That one I don't really get. I think Oklahoma should be higher. They've got a win over Michigan, who the AP poll puts at 19. So the AP poll says that's one of the best wins anyone has, and they looked really good against Michigan. Clearly the better team on that field in that game. And then you got the win this past weekend against Auburn, which that was a gross game. I watched that whole game. It was really gross, and there was some crappy officiating. But Oklahoma, no matter how bad some of the calls were, they were clearly the better team against Auburn. And I hate to say that because I was rooting for Auburn. Even as a Georgia fan, I mean, I live with Auburn fans, so I root for the Tigers more often than I should as a Dogs fan. But I was pulling for Auburn in that game, and they just played really sloppy. It was 10 sacks for Oklahoma's defense. In any case, the resume speaks for itself. They have 2 quality wins right now. They should be ranked higher. I don't really know what the AP is doing with them at 7. Florida State at 8. I mean, the AP poll says Alabama's a quality win. They put them at 17. And yeah, I'm going to have Alabama ranked, but not at 17. It's a quality win. It's one of the best wins anyone has right now. I'm not really sure why Florida State is that low at 8. I'll only have them a little higher myself, but I would still bump them up. A&M, I'm okay with it. They got a really good win at Notre Dame. I might have them a little higher myself. Texas at 10, I don't get it. I don't know why we are ranking Texas that high. They've done nothing. They've done nothing. They've not looked that good. They have a stout defense. I'll give them that. I like their defense a lot, but Arch Manning just straight up has looked like a bad quarterback, except for when they played Sam Houston State, who was winless going into that game. They're still winless, of course, but I don't know why we're giving Texas so much credit. Their best result is a quality loss to Ohio State. And yes, that is a quality loss, but at this point in the season, there are so many more teams who are deserving of a higher ranking. Texas doesn't have any right to be above some of these teams. Like Indiana at 11, shame on the AP poll. We'll get to their game a little later. I'm going to hold off for now when we get to Illinois, because I got some thoughts on that. Indiana for sure should be above Texas. They're undefeated and have a quality win. Texas has no wins, basically. I mean, they got 3 of them, but against who? Who have they beaten? And have they looked that good? No, they haven't. No. I hate to say it. I'm sorry, Texas fans. Until you actually beat somebody, you're not going to be ranked that high by me. Enjoy the top 10 ranking by the AP poll, I guess, but I cannot tell you how it's deserved. I cannot understand it. We'll skip over Indiana for now. They should be higher, though. No doubt about it. Texas Tech at 12, I've got them a little higher. I think it might just be that Utah was overrated, but Texas Tech has the talent there. They clearly are passing the eye test. I mean, it is every week they've looked really good. Against Utah, it was mostly with their backup quarterback, so whoever's out there throwing the ball at Tech is apparently just going to be really good. Apparently that's how that works. The story there is their defense, though. I can't tell you the last time Texas Tech actually had a defense. I can't tell you if they've ever had a defense. I mean, I've got relatives who root for Tech. They're Tech fans, so I keep an eye on them year to year. And this is a different Texas Tech team. I think they are for real. I think they are legit. Keep an eye on the Red Raiders in the Big 12. They should easily be the favorite in that conference. I would have them a little higher, but okay, if you just don't want to give them too much credit for the win at Utah, that's fine. Ole Miss at 13, I would have them a little bit higher. Tulane was a fringe top 25 team coming into the weekend. I'll still have them probably in my top 40. I mean, that is a very good Tulane team. They beat Duke. Not that Duke is great or anything, but that's a solid Duke team at least. They have 2 Power 5 wins, which is more than a lot of these teams have at this rate. So, good win, dominant win over Tulane. Iowa State at 14, I think they're a little high. I don't love Iowa State. I know they're a solid team. It's the same thing they are every year. I do respect them for the win over Iowa. I think that's a very good win for them, better than some teams have. But otherwise, they've just not looked good. They had a bye week this past week, so is what it is. Tennessee, yeah, that's fine. 15 is fine. I'll have them a little higher. Georgia Tech, we actually graded them this week. I think they were too low last week, but then the win over Clemson lost a ton of value after they got beat up by Syracuse. So, yeah, Georgia Tech at 16, I don't really have a big issue with. Bama at 17, too high. I mean, they haven't really beaten anyone. I mean, even their best win against Wisconsin. I said last week that that's not that good of a win. At least it's a power win, though. That doesn't look as good anymore after Wisconsin went and got beat up by Maryland. We can't really count that. Can't really count that. So I'm going to have Bama lower. Vanderbilt at 18. Yeah, I don't have much of a problem with it. Their best win is against South Carolina, and I'm kind of low in South Carolina right now. It's a good win still, but not that good. So seems fair to me. Michigan, I'll have them ranked. I like Michigan a lot. And Nebraska, I'm counting that as a quality win. Final score doesn't really show how much Michigan controlled that game. Nebraska did well to hang in there, but yeah, Michigan, just very good team. Missouri, I'm going to have them higher. Not because of the South Carolina win. I already had them high. I liked the win against Kansas, and now you're giving me another power win, another good win against South Carolina. And Hardy at running back, honestly, if Missouri keeps winning, he is a Heisman contender. He is a Heisman contender. He's on a better pace than Derrick Henry was in his Heisman season. So keep an eye out for that Missouri running back. He is killing it this year. USC at 21, no problem. Notre Dame ranked at all, I've got issue with. You beat Purdue, and, I mean, I wouldn't have had them ranked last week. I didn't. I had issue with it then. I don't think a win over Purdue changes my mind on that. You're 1-2. You have 2 good losses. That's great. But like I said with Texas, at this point in the season, there are teams that are more deserving of a ranking than 1-2 Notre Dame. So leave them out right now until more of the season is played out and Notre Dame actually has a resume that stacks up and merits them being in the top 25. Because right now, it's not there. Let me hold off on Illinois for just a second. TCU being ranked, I like that. I'll have them ranked. Spoiler alert. BYU, I don't really have a problem with them being ranked. They're one of my first teams out, actually. So, I mean, we're not that far off. Me and the AP poll on BYU. I'm okay with that. Illinois, that's my biggest issue. easily my biggest issue with the AP rankings this week. It is absolutely ridiculous to rank Illinois after that massacre at Indiana. So you're telling me number 9 Illinois, who was overranked to begin with, I only had them at 15. They didn't deserve a top 10 ranking. Sorry, Illinois. I'm sorry, you didn't. And you showed it this week. At Indiana, you lose by 53 points, and you're telling me you're still ranked? And going back to Indiana, you're telling me that Indiana beat a ranked team. According to the AP poll, they beat a ranked team by 53 points. By 53 points. They beat a ranked team by 53 points, and they're not in the top 10? Please, somebody, tell me how that makes sense. I mean, I don't get it, and I feel for Indiana. What do they have to do to gain respect? And I imagine this is something the AP poll is going to self-correct in the coming weeks. If Indiana keeps winning, they'll just kind of slowly move them up to where they should be already. Obviously, if you're going to rank Illinois at all, which is a mistake, then Indiana needs to be higher because you're viewing that as an even higher quality win than you should be. And I'm going to give Indiana credit for that win. I'm going to have them higher, even though I won't rank Illinois because that's ridiculous. I'm going to give them all the credit in the world for that win because that is a good Illinois team. Is it a ranked worthy Illinois team? No. What are you ranking them for? They have a win at Duke. You might as well rank Tulane as well. They also have a win at Duke. Go ahead and rank Tulane instead of Illinois. I'd be okay with that. Their loss to Ole Miss was better than Illinois' loss to Indiana. It's a fact. Yeah, I can't believe Illinois is ranked. And if you want to bring up the argument that, oh, they were ranked so high you can't drop them that far, I mean, they already dropped them 14 spots. What's 3 more? Put them at 26. Put them at 26. At least they won't be in the top 25 then. I don't care. They should be nowhere near the top 25, though, after that. And I just don't get it. And also, a week ago, you had South Carolina ranked at 11, so 2 spots lower than Illinois was coming into the game against Indiana. South Carolina goes and loses to Vanderbilt by 27. Keep that number in mind, by 27. And Vanderbilt, the AP poll is saying, is number 18 right now. Bear that in mind. Only 7 spots lower than Indiana. South Carolina lost that game by 27, and Lenora Sellers was out for a large portion of that. And things really started going bad for them when Sellers went out. That was really when the game changed a ton. But South Carolina went from 11 to unranked. You're telling me that Illinois loses by a worse margin with their starting quarterback in the game, by the way. They didn't have injuries to blame this one on. They just got destroyed. No excuses. Illinois doesn't have excuses like South Carolina does, but they get to stay in the rankings. I don't understand it. I really don't. I guess it's because it's a top 10 team. Yeah, I take huge issue with it. I really hate that they did that to Illinois, keeping them in the rankings, and I hate that they are disrespecting Indiana still. I don't know what more they have to do. Win out, and maybe you'll crack the top 5? It's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous, but we are gonna forget about that. We're gonna move on to my rankings now, because I've got my own rankings. If I'm gonna give my thoughts on the AP poll, I think that it's only fair that I do give my own rankings and offer up a chance for others to critique mine. So here we go. Here is my top 25. My top 25 rankings heading into week 5. Vastly different from the AP poll. We agree on some things, but they're quite different overall. I put Miami at 1. AP poll finally moved them up some more at 2. I think they should be 1. They have the best resume in college football. I know the win over Florida, it doesn't mean that much. I value the win against South Florida. I think that's a quality win still. Don't care. I have South Florida ranked. We'll get to them later. Miami has a quality win there, and I view the win against Notre Dame as a quality win. If we were to power rate these teams, Notre Dame is a top 10 team right now. That's my view of it anyway. Or at least top 15. They're somewhere around there. Just a very good team. They just don't have the record or resume to justify a ranking right now. Oklahoma at 2, similar reasoning. They have a great resume. I'm counting the wins against Auburn and Michigan as elite wins. Those are quality wins. Those are very good teams. I have both of those teams ranked. I'll get to that later. Right now, that may be the best pair of wins in the country. It may be. I think Miami's resume is a little bit better overall, and they've looked better in those wins, so Miami still has the edge to go 1 overall here. Oklahoma at 2. And I know there's some drama with the officiating in that game, but Oklahoma still won it. You gotta stick with the result. Even if they overturn those calls, I think Oklahoma probably still wins it. I'm watching that game, they were just clearly the better team. I'm sorry, Auburn fans. That's just what I saw. That's my take. You can disagree if you want. Up to you. Georgia at 3, you can call bias if you want, but I still say we have the best win in the nation right now against Tennessee. In that overtime win at Neyland Stadium, very tough place to play. I'll give all the credit in the world to Tennessee. They played a great game. They look elite, so I'll keep them high enough in my rankings. Florida State at 4. They're passing the eye test with flying colors. They learned their lesson from a couple years ago. You got to do everything you can to impress the selection committee. You got to run up the score on these lower opponents because style points matter, as it turns out. So good for Florida State. I don't mind them running up the score given what happened to them a couple seasons ago. I get it. Ohio State at 5. I alluded to this earlier. Texas, I don't view that as good of a win as some others. Look at this. I don't even have Texas ranked. I think they're the first or second team out in my rankings. There are just other teams I viewed as more deserving. So Ohio State got a good win at Texas. That's really all they've done. So I mentioned this last week. I have Florida State above Ohio State because I view the win against Bama by 14 points as a better win than Ohio State's boring game against Texas by 7-point win. So I think Alabama is better than Texas right now, or at least should be ranked higher. So that's why I have Florida State above Ohio State. Georgia, as I said, I think Tennessee is the best win out of all those 3, so I have them at 3. If you disagree and you want to shuffle those 3 around, I'm okay with it. Indiana at 6. I'm not afraid like the AP poll. I'll put them in my top 10 and a little bit higher than you might think at 6. The win against Illinois, I don't love Illinois. I've previously mentioned it. I had them at 15 last week. I gave them more respect than I apparently should have, as it turns out. I respected them more than they respected themselves. Indiana won that game by 53 points. That's against a good Illinois team. They're not a ranked team anymore, and I don't think they're going to crack the rankings again. Not for me, at least. But that is a good Illinois team. Very solid unit. Probably a top 40 roster. And Indiana just absolutely crushed them. 53-point win. I'm going to give you credit for that. I'm putting them at 6. That is one of the most impressive wins we've seen this year. If Illinois, in my opinion, were a better team, I'd put them even higher. But Indiana at 6 for now. Room to improve. A win against Iowa this weekend would probably help a good bit because I like Iowa. Texas Tech at 7. As I previously said, maybe Utah's just bad. I mean, they beat up on UCLA, and everyone's going to do that. I talked about that last week. They got by Wyoming and Cal Poly. I mean, they hadn't really played anyone yet. They played Tech, and I watched most of that game. It was competitive for a while, but Utah's offense just couldn't get going. They couldn't get anything going against that Texas Tech defense. They got a really good unit at Tech, so you got to watch out for them. I think Texas Tech is legit, and it's kind of crazy to be saying that. I'll be rooting for Tech the rest of the season, though. Oregon at 8. I mean, they still don't really have any quality wins. They beat Oregon State this past week, and, I mean, Oregon State is just not that good this year, unfortunately, but Oregon looks like one of the best teams in the nation right now. If I weren't a Georgia fan and heavily biased towards my end-of-season predictions, I would say Oregon would win it all. That would be my prediction right now, but as it stands, I'm going to have Georgia beating Oregon in the national championship. That was my preseason prediction as well, by the way, so I'm feeling all right about that. Hopefully that comes to fruition and it's not us losing. Oregon at 8, I really like a lot. You can argue for them being lower since they don't have that much of a quality win yet. I can get behind that. I understand. I'm doing this based on the talent and how much they're passing the eye test, and at least they've played teams who are Power 5 competition, if we still count Oklahoma State. Which, on that note, Mike Gundy being fired is the right call, but also he did a lot for that program, so shout out to him. He had a great run. Unfortunate that it had to come to an end. Texas A&M at 9 had a bye week this past weekend, so my thoughts on them don't really change. They have that big win over Notre Dame, so respect to them for that. We'll see how they look against Auburn this week. Ole Miss at 10, I bumped them up a few spots. I said last week my only issue with them and why I had them below some other teams was that they hadn't put us together a full performance on offense and defense, and they just hadn't looked that good. They had problems against Arkansas, who I think is better than people think. They had problems against Kentucky, who is not better than people think. But against Tulane, who is a very good team, they looked elite. They destroyed Tulane, who could end up being a playoff team, depending on how things play out in the American Conference. So, shout out Ole Miss. You got a quarterback controversy there, although having two good quarterbacks is not that bad of a problem to have. You can just play whoever's healthy, I guess. I think Chambliss is probably going to be the guy moving forward, though, based on how well he's playing right now. I mean, good grief. Who could have seen that coming? Missouri at 11, as I previously stated, I love the win against Kansas. I think Kansas could end up in my top 25 at some point if they keep winning. I think that's a very good Kansas team with their healthy quarterback this year. The win against South Carolina holds some value for right now. They're still a 2-2 team. They have one of my favorite quarterbacks in the Lenore Sellers, so I'll respect the win. It's better than some people have. LSU at 12. LSU at 12, I'm sure some people will not like, but as I said earlier, I'm adjusting my rankings week to week. which means I'm reviewing things I previously said. So earlier, I liked the win against Clemson, and it's just getting worse week by week. Same with the win against Florida. Worse week by week. I can only give you so much credit for it. Those 2 wins are better than some teams have, so you are still in my top 12 despite not looking that good. But yeah, those 2 wins just don't hold up. I think Missouri's wins against Kansas and South Carolina currently are more impressive than LSU's wins against Clemson and Florida. And I know that is an absurd statement, or at least it would seem like it preseason, but right now I think it's the truth. So LSU, you can prove me wrong, and you can beat Ole Miss this week and move up even higher in my rankings. We're going to find out. One of those teams is going to shoot up a little bit. Big game, LSU, Ole Miss. Looking forward to it. Tennessee at 13. The only thing that really changed, in my opinion, for Tennessee is Syracuse now counts as a quality win. 3-1 Syracuse beat up Clemson, so Syracuse has to be a better win than Clemson. That's how that works, right? Syracuse is a better win than Clemson right now. So Tennessee stays at 13. I think they were 13 for me last week. I love the loss to Georgia. I don't like the whole quality loss argument, but that was such a close game, and they look so good. I'm going to respect them for now. They got a big game, in my opinion, against Mississippi State. I'd be surprised if Tennessee lost to State, but right now Mississippi State deserves a high ranking. The win against Arizona State got a whole lot better this week in my eyes because they went and beat Baylor, who I like. Arizona State's not going to be ranked for me. They don't deserve it yet. Mississippi State, I think it's shameful the AP poll didn't rank them yet. I don't understand why. Adam says, not absurd at all. Glad we agree there. Welcome to the stream. How you doing? Who's your favorite team? Who you root for? Penn State at 15. This is another thing where the AP poll and I just hugely disagree. I don't know what Penn State has done to be ranked that high. We're gonna readjust after this week when they play Oregon. Either they'll move up a lot or they might just fall out of the rankings for all we know. I don't know. We'll have to see how that game goes and how they look, how much of a fight it is. But that's a huge game for sure. Penn State against Oregon. But right now, they don't deserve that high of a ranking. Their talent right now is keeping them in my top 15. Their talent, and they've looked good at least, which is all you can ask for because they haven't played anyone. You got to look good, and they have. Some of these other teams have not looked good against their lesser opponents. Georgia Tech at 16. I had them in my top 10 last week based on the win against Clemson, and then Clemson got beat up by Syracuse. So again, the Clemson loss is heavily affecting my rankings here. LSU and Georgia Tech both drop because their main win does not look that good anymore. Clemson can't really count as that much of a quality win when you're 1-3 and you're reeling. So I'm still going to respect the win because I think Clemson still has a good roster overall, and it's better than some teams have. So Georgia Tech can stay at 16. Vanderbilt at 17. Kind of similar. The win over South Carolina doesn't hold much value, and I never gave them much credit for the win against Virginia Tech because they are just, they're not good. They're not good. At least they're 2 power wins, though, so that's something. Vanderbilt looks really good. We're going to find out more when they start playing more SEC teams. The game against Mizzou, that's going to be interesting. I think that's in a couple weeks. Iowa State at 18. I've not really loved them all season, but it's kind of similar to how they always are, and we've seen the story with Iowa State. They're going to win 8-9 games. Maybe they'll make the Big 12 championship. It'll be close. But, we'll find out, man, about Iowa State. They got a close one against Kansas State that doesn't look good anymore. A lot of people rank them high because of it, and now they aren't adjusting. The only reason I have them ranked as high as they are is because they beat Iowa, and I think Iowa's a solid team. USC at 19, they don't really have any quality wins. They look really good, though. I think I've got some questions about their defense, but that offense, it's what you expect from Lincoln Riley. TCU at 20, I mean, they got a pair of power wins if we are counting North Carolina, but they beat SMU, and they beat them by double digits, and that's a decent SMU team, so TCU deserves to be ranked. Auburn at 21, I think a lot of people agree Auburn has a case to be ranked still because they played really close with a very good Oklahoma team. They still have a good win over Baylor. I know Baylor's 2-2, but they have 2 good losses there to Auburn and Arizona State, and they have a win over SMU. I like Baylor, I respect them, so I still like that win for Auburn. We'll see if they deserve to be ranked after next week. They play A&M, so that might change. But yeah, I think that they have a really good loss to Oklahoma. They were very much in that game. If not for some crappy calls, they could have won it. I still maintain Oklahoma wins anyway, but we'll never know. Michigan at 22, they got a good win against Nebraska. Good win. I like that a lot. And they have a quality loss to Oklahoma. Again, I don't like the quality loss argument, but if you've got a good win too, then I'll hear you out. Memphis is ranked. I thought the AP poll was going to rank them. They've got a couple of power wins now, I believe. They beat Arkansas. Gutsy win. Big comeback for them. Really respected that. Currently, it eludes me who else they beat. I'm pretty sure they have another power win. You can fact check me if you want, I might be wrong, but to me, they have a power win, and that's better than some power teams have right now. I think they belong in the rankings right now based on who they've beaten and how they've looked. So Memphis at 23, South Florida remains ranked at 24. I never dropped them. I don't plan to, although the win over Florida is losing value week by week, so they do drop a little bit. They're going to remain ahead of Alabama, who have they beaten? They beat Wisconsin, and as I previously said, that doesn't look that good anymore. It didn't look that good last week either, but after they got blown out by Maryland, it's becoming apparent that probably anyone can beat up on Wisconsin this season. Really sad to see them fall that far, but Alabama remains ranked. Adam, I see you saying you agree with them being ranked there, and they'll have their chance to prove their worth this weekend. I agree with that. If they beat Georgia this weekend, then they will shoot up the rankings. Probably into the top 15 if I had to guess, but we'll see. For my sake, as a Georgia fan and also the person creating my own rankings, I really hope that doesn't happen because I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do then. That would be a little bit tragic. But yeah, that's my top 25, and I'm showing you these rankings every week. I'm going to explain them every week. At least I'll do that, unlike the AP poll, who, as I previously said, their rankings are terrible. They don't make sense. If you're going to rank based on the results we're seeing and what is earned, these are how the rankings should look, in my opinion. You're welcome to disagree. You can tell me what I got wrong. I mean, these are very subjective after all. And a lot of it won't matter anyway. These are gonna change a ton in the coming weeks when we start seeing conference play happen a lot more often. But there you go. These are my rankings. And on that note, Memphis also beat Troy. Pretty good win. I mean, as we know, Clemson showed us Troy is not easy to beat. Oh man. Well, that's my rankings. I am going to move on to some predictions now. And I'm going to do it on Yahoo. I tried to do my own kind of format last week, and it was a bit of a struggle, and I didn't have as much time to figure that out today. So instead, we're just going to use Yahoo and hope that works well. So let me pull that up. My predictions. Close my rankings here. Yes, here we go. So I'm going to be picking the games in the top 25 this week. There weren't really any games outside the top 25 that appealed to me all that much. Here we go. My Week 5 college football rankings. Again, these are teams playing in the top 25. And I have thoughts on a lot of these games. Some of these I'll just kind of go by pretty quickly because it's on Yahoo. So some of these I don't really have a choice when I just put in top 25 games. So first up, on Friday evening, you got to keep an eye on this one, in my opinion. It is Virginia against Florida State. Number 8 in the AP poll, even higher in my poll. Florida State looks like one of the best teams in the nation so far this season, but don't underestimate Virginia. I am going to put Florida State on upset alert here. And that might sound crazy because it is Virginia, and they're not usually that good, but they seem to have an offense this year. They've only got one loss to a solid NC State team. Florida State should win this game, but here's where my argument is going to kick in. They play Miami next week, and that is a huge game. So the risk here is they overlook Virginia, thinking, oh, they've got this win. They've got to beat Virginia, and then you're going to focus on Miami next week, and you just slip up. It's a classic trap game. I'm not going to pick Virginia to win the game, though. I think that would be a stunning upset for sure, but I want you to at least be aware of it. Virginia could pull this upset. I am going to go with Florida State in that game, though, but again, just keep an eye on it. Maybe Virginia makes it interesting. Maybe they can pull it off, because it could be a trap game for Florida State with Miami looming large next week. Mike Gundy was fired. Yes, he was. It was long overdue, frankly. I was calling for it last season. He's a legend, though. I mean, great respect for what he did at Oklahoma State. He accomplished a lot there. He made their program what it is, honestly. Unfortunate it had to end. These past couple seasons have been really, really bad. It was time for change, but hopefully, I don't know what he's going to do next. I think he should go be an analyst or be on TV or something like that, because his post-game press conferences are great. John Mateer broke his hand out a month. I hadn't seen that yet. I saw he was getting surgery. If he's out a month, that is huge, because they play Texas in a couple of weeks, and they got a daunting schedule. So, that's huge if he's out that long. Keep an eye on the John Mateer news then. Oh boy. Moving on to the next game, though, this is also a Friday night game. Arizona against TCU. TCU ranked by the AP poll. They're at 20 for me. Arizona State still unranked for me and the AP poll. Shout out to the AP poll for that one. I'm glad they haven't ranked Arizona State yet. Although if they rank State next week, but not Mississippi State, I think that would be outrageous. Anywho, Arizona State against TCU is a huge game. We're going to see just how good TCU really is against a decent team, because I think Arizona State still is a decent team. The winner of this game could be one of the favorites in the conference after this. Texas Tech is the clear favorite right now. I don't love Iowa State, but I think that these two teams here could tell us a lot about who's going to challenge Tech. I'm going to go with Arizona State in this game. I'm not confident in this. But also I just think TCU's got to lose some games this year. And looking at their schedule, it's really hard to find losses. This is not a logical pick. It's just looking at the schedule going, TCU's going to take some losses. This looks like a game they could lose, coming off a win last week and entering the rankings. It's a good letdown spot for them. Arizona State looked a lot better against Baylor last week, and I thought Baylor is a better team than TCU. Their defense looked really good against Sawyer Robinson, so I think their defense is going to do well against TCU's quarterback, Hoover, who has been playing really well, by the way, so keep an eye on him. I'm going to take State, and I'm going to be interested to see how that goes. First upset of the weekend, even though Arizona State's kind of favored. Next up, we're not going to talk about Georgia Tech against Wake Forest, because this might backfire, but I'm not going to hesitate to pick Georgia Tech in that one. USC against Illinois, that's what I'm interested in. I've got USC ranked. I don't have Illinois ranked. Illinois being ranked is an absolute joke right now after that loss last week. I can't pick Illinois after watching Indiana run up the score on them. 53-point win for Indiana. I'm going to take USC. Illinois' defense couldn't stop Indiana. I don't see them stopping USC's offense either. I don't see it. Could be wrong. This could be a bounce-back game for the Illini, but I'm going to go with USC. They're going to score some points, and I don't think Illinois has the offense to keep up. So give me USC pretty quickly there. Notre Dame against Arkansas is interesting to me because Notre Dame's defense weirdly has not been good this season. I don't know where that came from, but their defense has regressed a good bit. Arkansas has an electric offense. They can put up points. The problem is they don't have a defense either. So I think this has the potential to be a very fun game. And Notre Dame could be an upset alert. This is a desperate Arkansas team. They just lost 2 games, close games against Ole Miss and Memphis. And I think this is a good Arkansas team. I'm going to pick Notre Dame, though, because while they're desperate for a win, they are reeling, and they seem to have the worst luck in college football. So give me Notre Dame. Vanderbilt at Utah State, we're not going to talk much about. Utah State is a respectable team, but Vandy should have this. They look really good. Vanderbilt's going to be 5-0 after this week if they beat Utah State. How crazy is that? What reality are we living in right now, guys? Insane absurdity. Indiana taking on Iowa. Could be a game to keep an eye on. Ultimately, Iowa has a solid defense as always, and their offense is better than it normally is. They played a good game against Rutgers last week. No, that kind of flew under the radar, but they put up 34 points in a win. They also gave up 31 points, though, so not exactly the same Iowa team we're used to. I could see them pulling the upset here if they can put up enough points on Indiana and their defense keeps their offense out of the end zone enough. I'm not going to do that, though. After what we saw last week, I'm scared to pick against Indiana. They are scary, man. I'm going to go Indiana. I think if they can score an Illinois' solid defense, or seemingly solid defense, they're probably going to be able to score in Iowa. If Rutgers could hang 30 on them, Indiana's going to hang 30. And I don't see Iowa being able to keep up. So give me the Hoosiers. They're going to win. Next one, Ohio State against Washington. Preseason, this was one I kind of had circled as a potential upset. Although I thought Washington would be ranked by now, but hasn't been the case. A lot of other teams have been surprising. So I'm still going to say this has potential to be an upset. I know I have not picked any upsets yet, unless we count Arizona State over TCU, but this is a game you can circle as an upset. Washington has Demond Williams at quarterback. I believe that's his name. He has been fantastic so far. Fantastic quarterback. They put up 59 points in their past 2 games each. It was against Washington State and someone else who isn't that good. I'm pretty sure they've put up 59 points. They put up 59 points last week at least, and it's just fantastic for them. Their offense is clicking, but can they do it against Ohio State, who has a very good defense? I think they're going to put up some points, but my biggest problem for Washington here and in their ability to pull this upset is their defense. I don't think their defense is that good. I think Ohio State's going to be able to move the ball and put up points. I think this could be a close game. I think Washington is able to pull this upset, and I think that it's going to be closer than people expect. But I'm going to take Ohio State. I think their talent is going to win out here. Ohio State's going to get a close win against Washington, and Washington, they better be gaining a lot of respect after that, because I'm ready for it. Ohio State gets the win. Big one coming up here. This one is flying under the radar a little bit because of the late slate. It's LSU taking on Mississippi. Ole Miss, they got a big win against Tulane. I don't know who is starting at quarterback in this game. It could be Austin Simmons. It could be Trinidad Chambliss. Both guys are very capable and very good players. I would start Chambliss at this point. Start him until he has a bad game, and maybe then you go to Simmons, because he is balling out right now. You got to keep playing him, in my opinion. LSU, as I previously said, they've not looked good this season. They had their best game last week against a cupcake, with respect to whoever they were playing. It's LSU's supposed to look good against them. That was the first time they looked good this season, though. Their defense looks like it's really good. I think that's going to be the main battle here. Ole Miss's offense against LSU's defense. And look, since the offseason, I've been big on Ole Miss. I predicted big things for them this year. I've got them making the playoffs. I'm going to go with Ole Miss in this game, and some people will be surprised. I've already got Mississippi ranked higher, so I mean, for me, it's just another day in college football. Ole Miss and LSU are not that far apart in talent. Ole Miss has a better resume. I'm going to go with Ole Miss in this game. Give me Mississippi against LSU. Gosh, I hope that one's right, because I've been calling it since the preseason, and I've gotten called out for it. Oh, boy. All right, we only got a few more left. Auburn against A&M. This is going to be a fun one to me. A&M looks really good so far. They got that win against Notre Dame. Auburn looks really good so far, and I don't think there are that many teams who can beat them. Their defense looks very, very good. Their run game looks very, very good. Their problem, and I said it last week too, is I don't think they have that good of a passing attack. I said that against Oklahoma. They weren't going to pull the upset unless Jackson Arnold could suddenly find his receivers downfield. And he had a couple of plays where he did, but they were plays where he underthrew the ball. He could have easily thrown a couple of touchdowns, big passing play touchdowns, if he had thrown the ball more accurately, with more power. But he couldn't. So I don't trust the Auburn passing attack. They're going to have to be able to run the ball against A&M, and I don't know how confident I am in their ability to do that. I think they are capable, but I'm not sure, man. I believe the game is at Texas A&M. I think that's a tough environment to play in. The crowd is going to be rocking and rolling. I'm going to take the Aggies here. I'm going to do it. I think they have the better overall team. They've got the better quarterback in Marcel Reed. I'm going to take the Aggies. I'll be rooting for Auburn personally. I think that's the more fun result. But A&M should be able to get this done. And they're coming off a bye, too. So, yeah, give me the Aggies. Tennessee at Mississippi State, I already said in my rankings, although they're only one spot apart from each other, because yes, Mississippi State should be ranked with that win over Arizona State and looking good and being undefeated. I don't think Mississippi State wins this game. I think Tennessee is far better of a team than Mississippi State, and massive respect to State for what they've done this season so far. Great stuff for them, much better than anyone expected, but Tennessee should be the better team. They're definitely more talented. I don't see State's defense stopping the Tennessee offense. Tennessee's offense is so good, man. It's so good. They're going to put up points. It's going to be on Mississippi State to keep up, and they could. They're capable, but I think Tennessee's defense is going to be good enough to get crucial stops. They should be able to win and cover, I'm going to say. I'm going to say they're going to cover in this game. If it's closer than people expect, don't be surprised, but yeah, give me Tennessee in this one, hands down. Interesting one here, Iowa State taking on Arizona, who notably is undefeated. That's flying under the radar a little bit, probably because they haven't really beaten anyone that good, but still, Iowa State, they're ranked high, a little too high. They've got a win against Iowa that I value. I think that's a good win. That's the only thing that I really like about them this season. They're solid. They played close with Kansas State. They played close with Arkansas State. Don't like that. Coming off a bye at least, so that's good. Arizona, they've not really played anyone. I'd say their best win is a close one against Kansas State. Both of these teams played close with Kansas State. They got one common opponent. Honestly, though, Arizona looked better against Kansas State than Iowa State did. That's my opinion. You can disagree if you want. I think this game has high upset potential. It's flying under the radar. Not too many people are going to have their eyes on it. Not many people are talking about Arizona, but Noah Fafita at quarterback is really good. I liked him since his freshman season. Disappointed they had a down year last season. I'm going to go with Arizona to pull this upset. It might be a little bold. It's a little out there. And I might be way off on this, but I'm going to take Arizona to pull this upset against Iowa State. I don't think Iowa State is that good. I think that they keep winning close games, and they're a solid team, but they're going to lose to someone at some point who they shouldn't lose to, and Arizona fits that. I'm going to take the Wildcats, just a random upset, so there we go. Missouri at Massachusetts, we're not going to hesitate. Mizzou's going to hang 60 on them. Skip over down here to BYU at Colorado. I am taking BYU in that game. They should just be the better team. I don't have any deep thoughts on that one. And I'm skipping over that because we got the big ones here. We got two huge games. Oh, man. Penn State taking on Oregon. Number 3 and number 6, respectively, in the AP poll. I got Oregon at 8 in my rankings and Penn State at 15. Whoever wins this game is going to get that quality win they've been missing all season so far. The loser of this game, their resume is going to be a lot more thin. You need to look good in this game for both of these teams. Both of these teams need to look good at least. man, I'm excited for this one. Penn State gets a chance to correct the narrative. James Franklin being unable to win big games, this could be his chance to fix that. Oregon, though, as I said, they look so good this season. They look elite. They haven't really played anyone, though. We're gonna learn a lot about both of these teams. There's not much we can really say or guess so far because we don't know much. All we know is they look dominant against bad teams. So you just kind of have to take a guess here. And my guess, this might sound crazy, but my guess is Penn State gets the job done. I don't have any reason for it. I've just had this weird feeling since the offseason that Penn State is going to beat Oregon and, then choke later in the year. But for now, things are going to be looking good. Just a weird feeling. I'm going to take Penn State. They seem to have a really good defense. They have an experienced quarterback, although I don't love Drew Aller. He's a very experienced, and they played Oregon close last year. They can do it. We know they're capable of it based on how well they've played against these teams. They just haven't gotten over the hump. I think this is it. You only have that problem until you get over it. I think this is where James Franklin gets over it. Sure, I still think he's going to lose in the playoffs, but I'm just going to go with it. I'm going to say Penn State finds a way and they beat Oregon. It's going to be a great game. Looking forward to it, although my eyes personally won't be on it. I'm going to be a little bit too busy with the game of the week, in my opinion. It's Alabama going to Athens, taking on the Georgia Bulldogs. I am a diehard Georgia fan, have been for a while, and I'll go ahead and say it. I'm taking Georgia. I'm not picking against my dogs. I know the narratives. Kirby Smart and the Dogs always losing to Bama, except for that one time in the national championship game. That was the best time for us to win, of course, for sure. But it is true. We struggle against Alabama. I don't know why. It's just a thing that keeps happening. But this time we play at home. We haven't beaten them at home in a long, long time. It's been so long. But normally these are neutral site games or they're played in Tuscaloosa. I'm really excited to get a chance to play them in Athens. And we may or may not have a blackout for Georgia. We might be playing in black. I think that'd be awesome. The environment at our stadium at night, primetime game basically, most eyes on it. It's going to be electric. It's going to be an amazing atmosphere. We are going to be ready for that game. We are going to show up. The fan base is going to be rocking and rolling. I'm looking forward to seeing that crowd. Alabama, obviously, it's Alabama. They're not Saban's Alabama, but they're still a very talented team. Top 5 roster. They've been rolling since the opening season loss to Florida State. They've been rolling against lower-level competition. Georgia, they played Tennessee, and they beat Tennessee. My hesitation here as an objective viewer of this game is Georgia's secondary has some young guys who struggled against Tennessee. And that is concerning for sure. If Ty Simpson can find Ryan Williams just in the passing attack, and they can exploit our young secondary, yeah, this is going to be a very close game, and we might lose. I acknowledge that. I have to acknowledge that. I'm trying to be objective to some degree, at least. It is very possible Alabama comes to Athens and wins this game if Ty Simpson has a big day against our secondary, and it's very possible, just judging what we saw against Tennessee. But we got a head coach named Kirby Smart. He, I guarantee you, for the past 2 weeks has been coaching up our defense, working real hard on them, making sure they learn from those mistakes against Tennessee. I think our secondary, our young secondary, is going to learn from that game. They're going to come out improved. They are going to do their best against Alabama's receivers. Yes, Alabama's still going to make plays because their receiver core is nasty. Absolutely nasty. They're going to make plays. But it's not going to be like the Tennessee game. Alabama might crack 30 points. We'll see. I don't think their run game's going to do anything against us, but their pass attack will do enough. They maybe crack 30 points, but on that Bama defense, the way Gunnar Stockton and our receiver room is playing, our guys are going to get open too. Gunnar Stockton playing amazing. It's flying under the radar. He's having a very good season. That game against Tennessee was fantastic. He should be in the Heisman discussion, especially if we beat Bama. Give me the Dogs in a close game. It's another classic Georgia versus Bama game. I'm looking forward to it. I've got Saturday plans. I'm making sure to cut short just to be home in time to watch this game. Give me the Dogs. I'm not picking against my team here. As scared as I am because of the narrative, give me Georgia. It's going to be a good one. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Oh, man. That's going to do it for my predictions, and that's going to do it for today's stream. We're going to do this every week around the same time. I'll give you my reaction to the AP poll, give you my own rankings and my reasoning for those rankings, and then I'll give you my predictions on the biggest games of the week. So, looking forward to seeing how these go. I think last week I predicted 10 games and went 7-3. My upset picks were what cost me, so whoops. But hopefully this week goes better. I didn't get too bold. I think the only upset I really picked was Arizona over Iowa State, and I don't think that's that big of an upset when you really look into it, but I could be wrong. I guess Penn State beating Oregon might be viewed as an upset, but we'll see. It's an exciting day in college football. I'm gonna miss most of these games, unfortunately, but I will be home for that night slate. I will be home to watch my Dogs play Alabama. That is a huge game. I'm so excited. Can only hope it's gonna be a good one, or maybe we can blow them out. That'd be cool. But all right, I've got some stuff to do, so I'm gonna have to cut this one short here, around the 45-minute mark. Thank you to everyone who stopped by. Adam, nice to see you here. I don't know if I've seen you on our channel before, so nice to see a new face for sure. Hope you enjoyed me rambling and sharing all my college football thoughts. Another guy stopped by to inform me Mike Gundy was fired, so thank you for that. Oh, man. Big week in college football. Big week. Thank you all so much. I'll see you all next time. Take care.